So how's it going, motherfuckers? I thought I'd treat you to a little special. I'm gonna start calling them instead of retro reviews, network reviews. So I watching the network. Took a little break from watching stuff on the network for a while, but started getting back into it. They just finished putting on ECW content. You know, not that ECW, the WWE ECW, the new breed unleashed ECW, the unpopular ECW. But I have actually a couple of fond memories of ECW, and one in point being not only the one night stand pay per views, the first two, the ones that were actually ECW, but this head to head special. So if you go over to your network and you take a look at WWE ECW, and you'll see it's the Chrome ECW logo. They have it like so far removed on the Xbox version of the. It's the same thing I guess on PS4, the way how it looks the network. You'll have to take a look at it. It's in the vault section on the network. You'll find it. They didn't even promote this shit. I understand. Why don't they like talk about that on Raw or SmackDown? Say, hey, by the way, guys, you could watch new ECW like, unless you're scrolling around on there, they don't even say like new editions or anything. It's just like there it is. Hope you find it. What? Like, I don't understand how this works with the network. They were pushing it so heavily now. Now they barely even mention it unless they've got a pay per view coming up. It was getting a bit annoying with the $9.99. They get it. They're trying to sell a product, but when they have things like new shows, they don't even announce these things. Sometimes they put together a montage of a bunch of shows. Instead of putting a bunch of shows together in a montage, why don't they focus on one fucking show? How about that? Anyway, end that little rant there. I could talk about the problems I have with the network, but for $10, like I said, all this classic content, all the Raws, all the SmackDowns, all the papers, it's very hard to complain. It's just very weird, It's nice. I would want other people to enjoy the show as well, but it's kind of hard when it's so hidden. So ECW, WWE versus ECW, head to head. They had a special. I think it was on a Tuesday or something. It was like, it was a 2 hour special. It was about as long as how long Raw used to be and SmackDown is still. But what they wanted to do is they wanted to promote the ECW brand. They were gearing up for the ECW show on Sci-Fi, and more specifically, this was going to be they had, I think, SmackDown right after this, but this was going to be a show to lead into the ECW One Night Stand 2006. So we start off with the locker rooms rallying the troops, and I loved them doing this. Mick Foley was anti ECW. He's in front of the SmackDown and Raw guys wearing the Raw and the SmackDown shirts. Like, just in case you didn't know who was on what side, you have to. We're gonna all dress them the same. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying it's a bit funny. Like, oh, these guys are just, they don't have names. They're just guys with all the same shirts on. So, they're just a bunch of groups. Anyway, Mick Foley rallies the WWE side. Paul Heyman rallies the ECW side. The ECW side, it was funny. I think that, they did this multiple times. They went to the locker room, went back. At one point, as they're going, ECW, Sam Inn's like banging the Singapore cane into his head to the rhythm of ECW. I thought that was pretty funny. It's like a bunch of, wackos, a bunch of misfits, basically. Taz even says it at one point, did a land of the misfit toys. So they were putting ECW over pretty well, even though, like, a year from this point, basically 3/4 of who you saw on that screen wouldn't even be there anymore. They'd be replaced by other people. You wouldn't be seeing Tony Mama Luke. Gotta love that last name. Mama Luke, not that memorable of a wrestler, but you wouldn't be seeing, Balls Mahoney was there for about a year. Then he went away again. So you'd see this stuff like on and off. So most of these guys would not be there, sadly, later on. So we start off with our first match. Rob Van Dam defeats Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio was the champion here, and he did lose a lot. I gotta admit that they did not. Looking back on this, they did not book him very well at all. Now, of course, you had RVD here, um, and he was, he was going to go against Cena at the pay-per-view. So I guess they didn't. They had to choose if they wanted one guy to win or the other guy to lose. This was Extreme Rules. It was ECW rules. I forget what it was. They were using the chair. It was a very good match, though. One way or the other, they might have not protected Ray that well during his title run, or here for that matter. But you can't sit there and not say that this was not an entertaining match. I mean, you had like the bulldog from the top onto the chair, and the guys sold very well. They didn't sell that long because it was a shorter match. It was like 10 minutes at the most. But I was like very entertained looking back on this match, and I think from what I remember when I saw it when it originally aired on USA, I also really liked it. I wasn't used to seeing that style too many times. So at the time when we weren't really used to getting that style, it was really good. But now that you like see an overabundance of that shit on the indies, and they totally fucking killed it, by doing way too much of the same thing with high spots. So when you got a match with a lot of high spots, it felt kind of special in WWE. And I took notice. But looking back, and since it's a higher caliber of competitors here, that being RVD and Mysterio, it's still enjoyable to this day. It's a great match, and I recommend that you watch it, especially if you're freaking out over Sami Zayn matches. Go watch this. These were real wrestlers. Then you had a great little segment with Kurt Angle and Randy Orton. A good exchange here. And I really liked Orton during this period, headed into the Rated R. This is one of my favorite periods for Orton. I really liked the back and forth with Kurt Angle. It was very aggressive. You could tell that Angle was superior on the mic compared to Orton, but he was doing very well, holding his own. They were being, pretty graphic, talking about things. You could tell definitely the difference with PG, the way how they're talking to one another, way more abrasive, way more vulgar. But it definitely seemed like these guys were ready to go at it at the pay-per-view. It was a good promo segment. I like this side of Orton. Orton all psychotic and stuff. It's okay, but I like this Orton, where he was more genuine and just being like a flat-out asshole. I like this side of Orton, to be honest. I prefer this era of Orton above most other periods in his career. Mickey James defeated Jazz. This was a very short match, but it was good for the amount of time it lasted. The commentators, I gotta tell you, the commentary was very, very good. If anything, it almost stole the show. I know a lot of people don't like bickering commentators, but that's why I liked heel Michael Cole. I used to like it when the King and Michael Cole would spar, at the announce table and, go back and forth, and Booker T, people getting called idiots and arguing. I like that element. I found it to be enjoyable. And right here, Taz and the King were ready to have their match at the pay-per-view, and they were going back and forth, and I was cracking up at this. I mean, not because it's just so funny, but it was so damn entertaining. It was like an entertained laugh. I was like, just compared to the boring mess of comments, I was so overjoyed when Mauro Ranallo was on SmackDown, and you also had the heel King starting to come back, but then they put the King on the pre-shows, on the panel. Like, the hell are you fucking thinking? I mean, these are people that should be at the commentary table for good. I mean, for the rest of their lives, I mean, they do a spectacular job. I was like, thank God, Mauro Ranallo, bringing some excitement back to commentary. Getting you adrenaline filled for the event, even if the show is not that good. At least Ranallo would put shit over and make it seem better than what it was. Now you got Corey Graves. The only thing good on the commentary now is JBL is better, above average, and Booker T is entertaining. But man, they need an overhaul. You had the King here. You had JR. In my book, as I said it many times, the best of all time. There's a lot of greats. There's Monsoon. There's Heaton. There's Ventura. When it comes to commentary. But for me, JR just takes the cake. I mean, for me, you guys know I'm a big Attitude Era mark. And, and even during the Ruthless Aggression era, JR is just a personality to be reckoned with. I mean, you just can't top that. JR and the King, the chemistry they had. Joey Styles and Taz, Joey was getting into it with the King. It was great. I mean, this was entertaining commentary. Going back and forth, how Styles was complaining he didn't want to be a sports entertainment storyteller. And he was saying it was rude not to call the moves during the match, and it brought up a lot of elements. And these were things that people used to complain about commentary all the time, like when Vince McMahon was the commentator and he didn't know the names of certain moves. So there was, a great correlation between real life. It was like a shoot, a form of commentary. It was very, very entertaining. And, like I could even go back to the show again. Like listening to the show even without any visuals is still like a great show to me, because commentary was just so great, and it was completely over with me. I mean, just well done, and selling that match at the same time. They sold that match at the pay-per-view that only lasted 2 minutes, but they really knocked it home. Like Taz and the King hated each other, and the King hates ECW, and Taz was getting sick of him. I loved it. We had a big battle royal. We had a false finish. Randy Orton snuck up behind Kurt Angle and eliminated Angle. Angle was the last ECW guy in. So Big Show and Orton still being WWE guys, the match was over. But Big Show rips off his shirt. It's ECW underneath, tosses Orton out. And, Big Show ends up winning. The crowd was really, into it. Show was over with that decision. So all the bullshit where people were like, oh, Big Show and ECW. Of course, people were not that thrilled. I wasn't that thrilled either at the time. I wanted to see RVD with the ECW championship for months. I didn't want to see a short 1 month reign like we ended up getting, because he ended up getting in trouble for, selling marijuana. So you had Big Show quickly winning the belt from him soon after. So the Big Show was like a face here, but he would end up being a heel champion later on. So, I don't think they really wanted Show to really win the belt from RVD. It was just kind of a last-minute plan. Kind of like when John Morrison won the ECW belt when Chris Benoit ended up dying. So it wasn't the original plan. It's just something they threw together. But don't tell me that Show wasn't over here. The minute he ripped off that ECW shirt and threw Orton out, the whole crowd was cheering for him. So they were into it. Be that as it may, that people were not thrilled with his run in ECW. People liked it, and it was an exciting one because you didn't expect it. Edge was out there with Mick Foley, and he shows him an old video of when Foley was doing the anti-hardcore gimmick in ECW. Good promo. I'll tell you something. This little heel run, this Foley Edge thing, looking back on, I remember even at the time, this was good, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, where Foley cuts this great promo after this match. So you had Edge defeating Tommy Dreamer. There was a bit of a fuck up here. Tommy Dreamer was supposed to back body drop Edge through a table, but instead of going through it, Edge kind of just lands awkwardly. His leg bounces off the table. But it was a good match. Lita interferes. Terry Funk is there. You have Mick Foley choking out Terry Funk with the barbed wire, so it was excellent. This whole thing, it was just like total chaos, excitement. This is just like, you know what I'm saying? It's not just the Attitude Era. It's just wrestling lacks excitement, and there was excitement going on at this event, on this special. I mean, there was excitement all over the ring. You felt like you were seeing something truly special. It was a good presentation. Big stars there. Foley, Terry Funk. They made it hardcore. They had the tables. The barbed wire was brought out. Just, everything. Lita looking all sexy. I mean, like, you just don't get this shit anymore. So it's not just, oh, he's an Attitude Era mark. No, it's not that. I like the Ruthless Aggression Era too, to a point. It's not as good. It's a step down, but hey, this stuff is way more entertaining than what we get now, and it's good. It genuinely is good. So after the match, we get this, and I was waiting for this. If there's one thing that I didn't remember a lot on this show, but I remember this promo, and I forgot that it actually happened on this special. I thought it was just on another episode of Raw, like if it was before this or something like that. But you had, and I forget who Mick Foley was cutting it on, but I remember the spotlight and Mick Foley sitting in the chair, and he talked about, hardcore and how, he sold out to go to the WWE, but Tommy Dreamer had fans. Foley was now a heel. He was hated. He was whored out. He was trying to say that, he left ECW for fame and fortune, and that he's hated now because he's a sellout. And the whole presentation of this promo and the promo itself, sitting there with the spotlight, it was excellent. And I was happy to finally listen to it again. You want to hear, you want to show people how to cut a promo. You hear, Wade Keller and Meltzer Magoo talking about how bitch boy Sami Zayn and how the line starts here. Fuckboy Balor are cutting great promos. Great promos. You want to see a great promo? You want to see how it's done? How to cut a great promo? Don't go to the Attitude. You people have a problem with the Attitude. Oh, the Attitude Era. That's all you guys care about. Okay, let's talk about Ruthless Aggression Era then. Show them this promo. Show Mick Foley outside the Attitude Era years later, years after the Attitude Era, how Mick Foley cuts a promo right here. You see that it was unique. You don't always get that spotlight. Mick Foley at the right moment, the right time, cutting this good promo. You really want to say that the line starts behind me. That's good. That's a good line. Look at all the stuff you had Foley saying in this promo. How it was like realistic sounding. It wasn't just some goofy one-liner tagline. Oh, look how cool I sound with my accent as I wear my gay leather jacket. No, it's not that. This is what it is to cut a good promo. This is what it is. Take notes, people. You got the network and everything. Sit these motherfuckers down and force them to watch the network and watch these great promos and see how it's done. Because that's what I mean when half these guys, they shouldn't even be wrestling in WWE. They should be carrying the bags of the better wrestlers. Until you can cut a promo a quarter of the way or 2% of the way as good as this one, you have no business in WWE. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. The announcers start brawling at ringside. Taz and the King go at it. And, Styles is screaming for Taz to get him and everything. It was exciting, just like there was chaos. You want to talk about ECW being extreme and hardcore? I mean, everyone's fighting. The announcers are fighting. Everybody short of the crowd was fighting on this show. And one thing after another. There was a lot of good shit on this show. It was very entertaining. And this is another thing I already mentioned, the great commentary. Then the commentators start fighting. Then when you had the main event, it was Cena and Sabu, an Extreme Rules match. And this ended in a no contest or a DQ or something. I don't know if Cena won for the DQ, but whatever it was. Big Show interferes, helping out Sabu because he was in the STFU. And the thing is, what I need to ask the question is, why is there a DQ in this Extreme Rules match? You had all these throughout the whole night, people throwing chairs at each other. Yeah, you had the barbed wire at ringside, and all this shit, and then all of a sudden there's a DQ at the end. I guess you know what it is. They didn't want to have, um, a decision in all these matches because then you would have had Sabu losing and Rey Mysterio losing. So you couldn't have Rey Mysterio, who's going to wrestle Sabu at the pay per view, both lose. So I guess they wanted to do it, but it kind of didn't make sense. But whatever, I'm not going to harp on that. Decent enough, this match. Basically, this whole show was really fucking good, and I enjoyed revisiting it. Just a lot of excitement. Like I said, if anything else, the commentary just makes things so much better. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of good commentary, and this was, it was really fun to listen to this stuff, and there's entertaining. It's just there's so much conflict on this show, and that promo by Mick Foley. I mean, like I said, this is an expert promo. This is a true pro, like cutting a promo, super dramatic. It's serious. It's gripping. You guys, if you've never seen the promo that he cuts, it's great. I don't know if it's like an hour into the show or so. It's a great promo. Maybe like an hour and 20 minutes or so. It's great stuff. Um, you got to check out that promo. Like I said, if you really think that fuckboy Balor and bitch boy cab driver Sami Zayn are cutting great promos, you have no idea what you're talking about. Because when you compare those promos to promos of the past, there ain't no comparison. Great show. I recommend you watch. I'm going to watch some more of the ECW. There's also another great match that I remember. RVD and Hardcore Holly. Also, RVD had another good match with Test. There was a lot of good matches that they had on the ECW when it first started up. So, you had a lot of people trash talking ECW, but there were some great moments from it. Sadly, all you hear about from ECW is Ezekiel Jackson was the last champion, and you hear that what's the other thing they love to harp on? Oh, that December to Dismember was the pay-per-view with the lowest buy rate. But we like to forget that there were a lot of entertaining moments throughout it. It wasn't a major success, but you got shows like this that prove that it wasn't a complete mess. There was some great moments on it, and I recommend it. Like I said, it's on the Vault part, since they make it impossible to fucking find the main menu. Go to Vault, go to ECW, the updated logo one, and there you go. All right, motherfuckers, this has been your network review, signing out.